Peace and blessings, everyone. What's going on? It's your girl, Amaje Hardy-Jones, founder and creator of Aspire to Inspire. Today, I am so excited to be interviewing Deshawn Cavanaugh. He is a working actor who's appeared on television shows such as Ballers, Schooled, Saved by the Bell, and so much more. I'm going to bring him onto our virtual stage so you guys can get a glimpse of who he is. And I present to you, Deshawn. Deshawn, how's it going? Hi.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's going well. It's going well. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for accepting to be here. You know, you could be anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here. And I'm so excited to hear about your journey as a working actor in the film and television industry. So without further ado, are you ready to jump into this interview?
Let's jump into it.
All right, let's go. Let's go. For the sake of our viewers watching, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So hey, everybody, my name is Deshawn Cavanaugh. I am an actor, artist, musician, and performer. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I currently live in Los Angeles, California. I moved out here 6 years ago to pursue a career in acting, filmmaking, singing, and dancing. I've been out here for 6 years, like I said, and slowly but surely, we've been stacking the credits up, getting more and more experience, networking, meeting people, and I'm happy to say that I'm full-time creative right now.
Wow, that's what it's about, being a creator at heart and doing it by taking a leap of faith. So 100% applause to you for taking that leap of faith and just going after for what you want. This is what this platform is for, and it's what it's about. So Let me ask you, Deshawn, when in your career did you start taking acting professionally? When did you start taking it as a profession?
So I moved out here right after high school in 2015 for me. So I play a high schooler on TV a lot, but I'm not young anymore. I'm 24. I guess that's young.
Okay.
So I'm 24 now. So I started taking it like seriously and considering it professionally right when I moved out here when I was 18. And I was under the impression I had a lot of people telling me, "Oh, you should try this. Oh, you should do that." I had people telling me, "Oh, well, you shouldn't accept any jobs unless you're getting paid." And then I had other people say, "Well, you need to get as much experience as you can." And a lot of times in our industry, it's a lot of you're not getting the job until you've already gotten a job. So then how do you get the job in the first place? And so for me, when I was 18, I did a lot of listening and absorbing as much as I could from anybody that I'd meet. And then I think I started taking it seriously as a profession. I tried to do it right when I hit the ground running, but then I started realizing, okay, I'm not as seasoned. I'm not as experienced. I didn't come out here from like a 4-year acting program. I came out here fresh out of high school. So what I decided to do was just like accept as much work as possible. The whole, if you say yes to every opportunity that comes your way, you're going to lead yourself to your next one. So I started taking it seriously when I was 18, when I first moved out here. But as far as like professionally only accepting paid work, I still do stuff out of passion, so I would say, it's always been professional, but it's always been a passion as well. And so like I would say to anybody who wants to act, like if you really like a script, do it. Like don't think about the money first. Think about the story you want to tell first.
Well said. And you hit on a lot of important things that a lot of people who don't know about acting, go through. The whole idea that this is a business and yes, you want to improve with getting more paid jobs, but don't turn down an opportunity because it's not paying, or don't turn down an audition because, they don't pay you in return or you don't get something out of it. At the end of the day, you yourself, you're creative, you're someone who needs to adapt to different people. These are people in real life half of the time. You have to convey their stories. And it's important with that mindset to always approach each opportunity like it's your last and to do your best through that. So you've really hit some great pointers, and we're literally just starting. So my next
like first question, I'm like, here's 5 different answers.
Right. But no, it's okay. You're spilling out something you're passionate about, which is why I'm here interviewing you. And with, everything you said, which are some gems that you just dropped, what do you believe is the greatest misconception people have in regards to the job of an actor? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the greatest misconception that people have about acting, I would say the greatest misconception is that like it's just cushy, like it's just easy. Like I was actually on set yesterday and I did a little Instagram promo video where I was in hair and makeup, and that's one of the cushiest moments on set. And so I was making a joke like, "Oh, my job is so hard." Um, but the work of an actor is a different type of work. It's not manual labor, but especially when you get into those more dramatic roles, those roles that require little bit more, research and understanding of like a complex point of view that you necessarily might not have. That is the work. I think the misconception is that like, oh, it's all easy. The thing is like 90% of the work you do before you're even on set in most cases, like before the audition. And nobody's, like I said, nobody's paying you to do the prep work to memorize the lines, to figure out, okay, I'm playing a kid from Chicago who's in the 1990s. Nobody's paying you to look at those YouTube videos, to look on Google and see what it felt like in Chicago at that time, or to talk to some of your friends who are from that area and just talk to them about, those perspectives and those point of views. So I think the greatest misconception is that the work is easy. The thing is like the work that everybody sees, it's like an iceberg. You see that 10%, you see the film, you see what's filmed, and then also you only see what the editor chooses to use. But
Mhm.
a lot of the work starts before you even get the actual job yourself. So I think that the greatest misconception is that it's super easy and cushy work where, if you have a 9 to 5 job, you show up to work, you work from 9 to 5 and you're done. With
Mm.
acting, you sit here and like before you go to bed at night, you're still thinking about your role. You might give yourself 2 hours of rehearsing and memorizing your lines, but once you're done memorizing your lines, you might run into somebody on the street who has something that, an essence of something that you might want to pull into your character. So then you might want to have a conversation with them, or you might want to just start considering what what
Yeah.
environment your character is in, because we all live in our apartments, we've all been in the pandemic, we've all been stuck inside, but a lot of these characters, they live very full flushed lives that could be so different than our very own. And so a lot of the work starts before you even get the role. So maybe
Right.
to give you a finite answer, I'd say the misconception is that all the work happens on set, but I'd say a
Mm.
lot of the work happens before you even get to set.
Yeah, yeah. And again, you're dropping many jewels that a lot of people don't understand and don't realize. But that's the beauty of it. The work before going on set, that I like to call it an artistry. It's a craft that's built over time that once you receive that role or once you receive that character, you have to dissect it, understand it,
Yeah,
literally walk in that character's shoes, to say the least. And
yeah,
again, I'm pretty sure you're very passionate about your craft as a working actor, and I got you. You understand how fulfilling that can be, and how once you understand a character and able to portray it, the audience can be like, "Huh, he does a really good job doing that. Like I see him through that or through that character." And
right.
that's basically what you do for a living, right?
Yeah, and I'll add on top of that, even for my role for Saved by the Bell, like a lot of that was like once you get the character, it becomes much freer, but the work isn't over. But for me, a little bit of behind the curtain as to what it took for me to get my role on Saved by the Bell. I had auditioned for the show a couple weeks before for a different role, and so I had an idea of who was doing the show, what the tone and energy was going to be like. But when I got the second audition, I thought to myself like, look, I really like need to figure out exactly what it is they're looking for this. And so I looked up the showrunner, Tracy Wakefield, who has done her own show, Great News. She was the showrunner on 30 Rock for a bit. Like I went and I watched like as many episodes as I could of 30 Rock and was getting that tone and that energy because I knew some of the people who worked on 30 Rock, and it's an NBC show. It's the same type of like, network, which means it can fall within the same like universe of like how kooky and crazy the characters are opposed to how
Right.
realistic they are. So I was just really trying to hone in and find what worked for that show, absorb some of that, and then also, build new stuff for this new dynamic, which is, you know, a high school. But it's also with Saved by the Bell, like that's a show where there was an original show. So then I had to go back and I had to watch the original show and go, okay, well, the original show is a multicam. The new show is a single cam. What is that going to feel and look like? And I feel like I was one of the people who was on set, and like the second I was on set, I was like, this is going to work. This is going to be awesome. And I am going to do everything in my power to be like the most supportive, most like energetically like in the pocket actor and performer I could be. Like, I think
Right.
I think having a good attitude about the roles that you do are fortunate enough to get is another thing that'll give you that little extra boost of energy to show up when it comes time to show up.
Right. Right, right. You touched on so many important things. I keep saying this because you're a working actor and you're doing it, and a lot of people don't know this. And that's why, you mentioned being the most supportive person on set to anyone on set, having that can-do attitude. I believe, being who you are and being yourself can take you way farther than your talent. That's just what I believe personally. And with that in mind, you also touched on the importance of your research prior to auditioning. And that's kind of where, IMDb comes from, and you can do your
Yeah.
research. And of course, Google is there, but you put yourself way ahead of the game in front of so many people who are going against the same role as you. You did your research. And through doing that, you were able to, and of course, with your talent along with that, you were able to crush your audition, which I probably know you did, and book the role in Saved by the Bell. And before I go into that, I want to ask you something. Just in regards to your career thus far, you've done a lot of television shows. In your opinion, what makes a role a great fit for you?
A good question. Another good question. I would say the thing about our industry is there is so many levels to it. There are so many things that could make the role great for someone. For me in particular, I've gotten roles because I look very, very much like what they're looking for, and then I also have the acting chops to support it. A lot of times, if you look at my history, I play a football player or I play a high school athlete or something like that. And so a lot of that, especially for TV, um, since TV is such a quick moving medium, you got 30 minutes to tell a full rounded story. The audience needs to be able to look at you and gather as much as they can as quickly as they can. And me being a 6'2" guy who, for the past couple of years has been going to the gym and beefing myself up, that helps tell that story immediately. That's not to say that, an actor who doesn't exactly look like a role isn't going to get a role. I think it's just all of those little things that you can do to take the step to make the character choice or make the character your own. So I would say, for me, it comes down to, well, obviously with any actor, they pull you from your headshot, so it comes off your look. So as a casting director, and I listen to a lot of great podcasts and stuff about acting, and a lot of times
Right.
when they talk with casting directors, they're just pulling everybody that they think could kind of make it work. And then sometimes they'll bring somebody in who looks not like what they're looking for, but just to have something different, to have somebody to, pitch to the director or producer who's got something different. So a
Right.
lot of times when it comes to acting, just getting your headshots like locked down. I have headshots where I look like an athlete. I have headshots where I look like a nerd. I have headshots where I look like a lawyer. You know what I mean? Just getting all of those different looks for yourself so that your
Mm.
manager or agent or yourself self-submitting can, you know, choose the correct marketing materials to get you the audition in the first place. And then when it comes down to booking the role, I think, like we were just talking about, the research, the tone, and then your essence, which your essence, I feel like, is one of those things that like is innately in every single one of us, and is one of the hardest things to like tune and change, because no matter what room I walk into, I'm always going to be me at my base and my core. But
Mm.
then if I can, fine tune my essence and shift things around to be a version of me that, is showing someone else, that's the that's the icing on the cake. Because if you look like the role, great. If you've got the marketing materials and you've got the experience and the history to book the role, great. And then if you can fine tune, you know, things like your voice,
Mm.
your physicality, all of those things, I think, are the things that really, give you a beautiful, delicious cupcake of an audition rather than a bland piece of you know,
Yeah,
cake
I
with no icing or sprinkles. I don't know. That's a weird
no,
analogy.
I get what you were saying though. I totally understand what you're saying. You mentioned a lot in regards to your type, your physicality,
Yeah.
knowing and understanding not only how this industry can view you, but how you can go about pitching yourself to different opportunities with just your headshot alone. Trying
Hmm.
to transition from that, because with headshots, that's a whole nother subject.
Right.
Talk about the training, that training and your acting chops. You can have a great look, you can have a great physique.
Right.
If those acting chops aren't there, you kind
Yeah,
of
there's not you're not going to be I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of casting directors bring in a lot of people that look like what they're looking for. And then when they perform, they're like, "Oh, they don't get it." And I think a big part of it is like understanding what you're auditioning for, understanding what you're reading for. Like first thing I ever booked out here was a horror short film. Um and when it comes to horror, like, the stakes need to be very high. You need to believe and be rooting for whoever it is that you're watching that they're going to get through this. And for
right,
me, when it comes to training, I've done the first thing I did was on camera classes. So, on camera classes are classes where they teach you how to audition and how to read with a reader, you know? And so that's something that's really good to teach you camera technique and teach you how to do an audition and do an audition well. But after that, I started getting into improv. And improv is something so different from that. It's
right,
so untechnical. It's all about just accepting whatever new information comes in, being able to roll with the punches. And through improv, I think a lot of people can find their comedic timing, their confidence, their rhythm. Because if you're working with somebody who has no idea about you or your rhythm, or you've worked with them a couple times, but like every single performance is completely brand new. Like even what we're doing now is improv. We're just making
right.
it up on the spot, and we found kind of a rhythm where clearly you ask me one question and I answer it with a bunch of different kind of answers, and then you pull what you kind of want and we move forward. But
Yeah,
with improv, I think improv training was a big reason why I booked a lot of these comedy shows that I booked, because that's all about timing, rhythm. And now I've started getting into scene study class, and scene study class is where, you get really deep into what is going on for the character, what is going on in the environment. And I'm working with other actors, and I'm like, if we're sipping coffee at a coffee shop, like we will get actual coffee and we will put the chairs in a position to make it feel like an actual coffee shop. And I think, each one of those types of training has its own benefits. On camera training for somebody who doesn't, who knows how to act and is really good at acting, but doesn't know how to necessarily cheat their chin out to the camera. That's going to be great. And that's going to, really help you when it comes to recording your self tapes. Improv training when it comes to comedy or even drama, finding that rhythm and confidence to just, have your own organic thoughts come in. It's really strong. And then when it comes to scene study, that's where you get, I feel like um, that extra layer of like, now you're not just thinking about the environment, thinking about what you're doing, thinking about what you're saying. You're like accepting it and releasing yourself from thinking about it and just truly like immersing yourself in it. That's yeah. Those are my three training experiences that I feel like have done the most for me and like
wow.
sculpted me.
Listen, I'm sitting here in awe hearing about you just going so deep into the training. And again, I'm an actress myself. So just hearing from you and being able to relate on that subject, I know this is going to be so effective for people who are watching and want to get into acting, because a lot of people, I'm not going to lie, jump into this industry with such high expectations of not really understanding how the business works and how training and having that acting muscle, like having that toned and utilized, it can take you to where you need to go in your career, and it can allow you to grow in that sense.
Yeah.
So I'm blown away by what you just said. I'm in complete shock. Honestly, you could take over this interview and all I got to do is sit here and shake my head up and down and be like, yes, everything he said is true. Without a doubt, y'all hearing from a professional himself. Honestly, honestly.
I love talking. So there's actors who love the business of acting, and then there's actors who love to act. And I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle where I love talking to other actors about what it takes to get them, where they want to go, what it took for them to book that audition and stuff. And so when I'm saying all this stuff, I'm not just saying it to you guys. I'm saying it to me too. I'm reminding myself that everything that we do is, experience and wind at our sails for our next destination,
Yes, it is. Well said. So inspirational. So funny. Just thought of this right now. Just staying on the topic of inspiration. We all have people we look up to. It doesn't matter where you are in your career or, how long you've been doing it. We all have someone we look up to in this business. I ask you, who do you look up to as a working actor? Who's your role model that you look up to in a sense?
I would say I have a few, and they've changed a little bit over the years. Like growing up, I liked TV and I liked movies, but I liked animation a lot. Like when I was a kid, I loved cartoons. And then when I started coming out here and getting myself more involved in acting and trying to be, an on-camera actor, I started really diving into asking myself what are my favorite movies and why are they my favorite movies? Um, like some actors that I love, Will Smith, loved him. We all saw The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We all loved it. Um,
Right.
and we might be seeing something very similar to it coming up soon. I don't know where that information is coming from, but just keep your ears out for anything Fresh Prince of Bel-Air coming out. Also, Denzel Washington, love him. He's an actor. He's a feature film actor. He
Right.
really gets into his stuff. Tom Hanks is another actor that I really love.
Hmm.
Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan was one that I really liked because he got a lot of those cool, fun roles. Like he did Creed. I saw him in
Right.
Fantastic Four. Chronicle, that
Killmonger.
was a fun one too. Yeah, Killmonger, of course. That was ridiculous.
It was really from looking at the film Black Panther. It was really eye opening seeing him play a character like that. It just showed
Yeah,
his what's the word I'm looking for? His versatility, how well he can, in his eyes, and with the character, he was probably viewing himself as someone like a good person. Like his intentions were good, even though he had to do some things he wasn't okay with. And that's kind of
right.
where the beauty of watching these evil characters or these bad villain characters and seeing why they do certain things and just sitting back and being like, this guy thinks killing all these people are okay, or stealing this throne is okay. And it's just
Yeah.
it opens your eyes. It opens your eyes to a lot of things.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially, somebody who we've classically seen as the good guy, the guy we relate to see him take on that point of view of well, now I'm the villain. Um, all great stories don't necessarily need a villain, but there always needs to be some type of conflict. There needs to be some type of challenge to overcome. And so it's I don't know, have you seen the new Space Jam?
No, I haven't. I need to so badly.
HBO, it's on
I need
HBO,
to.
or you can check it out in theaters too. It's good. Don Cheadle does a really good job in that film of you got to have somebody that we want to beat. You know what I mean? And there's got to I think the best villains got a little bit of a swagger to them. You know what I mean? And Killmonger
Of course,
definitely was
right,
that. Because in the villain's
right,
mind, they're not thinking, oh, I'm bad, I'm doing the wrong things. Their point of view is this is what is right. This is what's going to get me my revenge, my what. You know what I mean? All those points of views
right.
are the work of those actors. And you have a good story, you got to have a good villain. Black Panther is crazy. Chadwick Boseman, another one of my favorites. First film I saw in theaters of his was Get On Up, where he played James Brown.
Yes,
That one
yes.
was so good. I love music, I love singing, I love dancing. So that one for me was just I was like, who is this guy? And
Oh my
from then
gosh.
on out,
And
it was
just
like I'm a fan.
yes, and just to piggyback off what you just said, every performance Chadwick did, it was like seeing a whole new person. Even though he's playing different roles and still seeing his face. I would watch one film and just be like, he's totally different from this one, but he executes it, or he executed it so well. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's just a huge inspiration for a lot of actors, for a lot of actors. And for, us to look up to him and to just maybe just one day reach to the epitome that he had. That's an awe-inspiring journey. It is.
My
It
man was
is.
a storyteller through and through.
Through the end,
Uh,
through to the end, through to the end. But
yeah,
that's something
truly.
we have to admire as viewers and as actors. Just like admire the craft that he put all his time and all his energy into entertaining other people. It's just like he did all this for us. And he did all this to convey to people of color who are actors that we can play prominent roles. We can play superheroes.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm getting
that was such a
emotional, but
special moment. Oh my gosh, I mean, going to the theaters for Black Panther was one of the most special cinematic moments in my history. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure we'll be talking about that for a long, long time. He was, in many ways, he was like the first black superhero. I mean, there was Blade, there's been plenty of black superheroes, but like he was the
right.
first one where like, they blew the box office up, and
They did.
first one
And it was
in my generation. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
No, I
I mean,
get
there's
it. I
been
get
many,
it.
but yeah,
Yes, right, right. But yeah, like you said, he executed it. They gave him the role. They, of course, he was fit for it, and I see no one else playing that character besides him because he did it so well. But
yeah,
yeah, this is just a time of appreciation for the late Chadwick Boseman. Honestly, this,
yeah,
yeah,
straight up.
such an impact, such an impact. But continuing on with the interview, it's just so important to have a form of inspiration. So that's why I wanted to ask you that. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, also Spike Lee and John Singleton. I was gonna put this up, but I'm like, this isn't Spike Lee. This is Boys in the Hood. That's John Singleton's movie. But Spike Lee, love him too.
Yes, yes. Give credit to the people who made the classics. Give credit to them. And moving on from the interview,
Yeah.
this is kind of going off on a different topic than what we were just speaking about. And, the entertainment industry, let's just talk about that a little bit. It's always changing. I'm pretty sure the
Hmm.
pandemic impacted everyone in this world, especially actors. And just, I'm not even going to say especially actors, everyone, period. And
Yeah.
with the whole idea of self tapes and auditioning that way, you know, um, within your career, right? Where do you desire to see yourself within the entertainment industry? Let's say 5 to 10 years into the future. Where do you desire to see yourself?
Yeah. Good question again. I think for all the listeners and viewers, I think it's always good to think about the future 5, 10 years out. For myself, within 5 and 10 years, I would love to see myself working on another sitcom. Um, Maybe one where I am the lead character, main character, something like that. I would love to do something like that. Work Monday through Friday on some type of a comedy show where we could just bring a lot of joy to people, and like in a way that's palatable, but also like has some heart to it. I also
Right.
love to produce and make my own films, and so I'd love to continue doing that. I'd love to write um, and produce a feature film of my own. I would love to help produce several feature films, but seeing myself on a show working Monday through Friday, and then using my weekends to just promote and encourage and work with other creators. That's definitely where I see myself. I want to be creating content, telling
Mm,
stories. I've considered myself as for the past 4 years is like a storyteller. And I also do a lot of
yes.
music. I produce a live music event here in LA. I've written a couple of my own songs. I had a band in the past. And even when it comes to music, like you're telling stories the same way that you do in acting, the same way you do in film and sketch and comedy, and just telling really important stories, telling stories to people, um, not even necessarily to people, but telling stories for people.
Mm,
A big reason, a big one of my whys for being an actor is like I used to love watching TV, and my mom would love watching TV, but I would never really see anybody who looked just like me in the roles that I love the most. I always liked the kid who was like, the Bart Simpson, or you know what I mean, or the, you know, one of the, the cool kid.
Right,
I didn't see
right.
a lot of that growing up, not on the main shows, not on the shows that I was watching. And so I would love to be able to, you know, be in a position to where some young kid can look at me on the screen and go, that's I want to be like him when I grow up. And obviously, any character that you look at when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I want to be just like him. I remember seeing Will Smith being like, I want to be just like him. Damon Wayans, I want to be just like him. Because it's like they're black and they're successful, and people see them as handsome and charming, and able to provide good quality content to people. But at the end of the day, you just want you can use that as a guiding force. But once you get to where you're meant to be, like, you're not going to be just
Mhm.
like anybody else. I think Diana Ross
Right,
told
right.
Michael Jackson once when he was a kid, he was like, I want to be just like you when I grow up. And she said, you just be you. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to
So
inspire
well.
kids to look up and want to be like me, but then also I want to also inspire them to figure out what's going to be best for them. I don't know.
No, don't say I don't know. I understand you completely. And that
Thank you.
ties into the importance of representation and why it is so important for us as storytellers, as you as a storyteller, to keep doing your thing, to be that comical leading character in a sitcom so that younger individuals who are, people of color or just, anybody, I don't want to exclude anyone, they can look up to you and be like, hey, I can do that one day. And I think the best feeling about being a storyteller is hear that and to know that your character was able to make someone laugh. They were able to make someone feel something at the end of the day. And listen, I'm just going to say that I asked that question because the possibilities are endless. You can be anywhere you want in your career. You can be that producer. You can be the guy behind the camera, the director with the baseball cap and everything. You can be
Yeah,
the
they always got a
leading
baseball
man.
cap.
Right. They always like, don't lie. They always do. Right.
The crew's always got
but
caps on. It's okay.
right. Right. So you can just be anywhere. You can be in the writer's room. You can create your own content, your own music. And at the end of it all, like you said, you're a storyteller, you're an artist. And that leaves so many other gateways to open for your creativity to fly. So, oh, that was so inspiring. I needed to
Thank
hear
you.
that.
Thank
The
you.
viewers
No, thank
definitely
you.
needed to hear that. Of course, of course. So, for the sake of the interview, we're winding down to my last question to you. Again, you're going to hear me say thank you. Thank you so much. But I'm going to ask you this last question. I ask this to all of my guests who come to my show, kind of a closer. But Deshawn, how do you desire to use your platform to inspire viewers? I know you already touched on this, but if you have any last inspiring messages for people, this is the time to do so.
Absolutely. Like I said, I want to, be someone people can look up to. And then also when it comes to the direct content I make, like on Instagram and stuff, sometimes I like to just, of course we all like to put our highlight reel on there, show all the cool things we're doing. But I also like to remind people like of uh, the mindfulness aspect of life. Like, if you're planning to get somewhere, just take a deep breath and realize where you are. It's important to know where you are to know where you want to go. I think a boat that leaves the harbor with a destination is more likely to get there than one that doesn't. So, yeah, I want to continue to use my platform to give little tidbits of wisdom that I hear and pass along, and just continue to I don't know, connect with people. I've like this past year, after being on the show and through the pandemic, I've actually had a lot of people messaging me and asking me questions, because I always say, hey, if you have a question or something about acting, I'm down to talk. I've made a lot of friends and made some
Mm,
really strong connections with other actors through the internet. And it's like, just to have someone to message and be like, hey, this is what's going on for me right now. I might not be feeling this right now, or
mm,
uh, you know, I, this week has been really tough for me to get my lines down. Like, I'm open to that. Like, if y'all want to have somebody to talk to, if I can and I have the time and I'm available, I will definitely get back to you. If I don't right away, understand that. But like, I've really appreciated that aspect of the internet. It
mm.
really can connect a lot of people. So, you are not alone. We got you.
Yeah.
Maj got you. I got you. There's plenty of resources out here.
Ah, yes.
There's somebody you can connect with.
Right, right. And you say that out of the heart of being of service for other people. I hear it in your voice. And just how passionately you are to say, hey, if you need something, I'm here. That type of energy, that type of mentality is going to take you far beyond what you think your destination is going to be. Because being of service to other is my life motto. I think that people, the only way you can be of service to other people is to share your resources so that you can bring other people to the table with you. And it's just
Yeah.
so important to have that lending hand. And you already have that. You're willing to be of service for people. Y'all don't bug him. He probably got things to do, but let him
You can
let
hit
him
me up.
know
You can
y'all
hit me up. It's okay.
All right, he said it. I tried to warn, but at the same time, yeah, it's so important to be that lending hand. And thank you for being that source, well, that resource for other people.
I want to thank you. I want to
Yes.
say the same thing right back to you because this platform, I saw the name of this podcast and I was like, I want to do it. I was like, aspire to inspire. I'm with it. I can just feel it just from the name, from the energy. And I look, I saw your picture and everything. I said, yeah, she's got the right mindset. It's all about giving. So thank you for giving,
Uh,
me this opportunity to speak today. I really appreciate it.
Of course, anytime. For the viewers watching, thank you so much for joining this interview with me and Deshawn. Guys, go follow him. He's doing some amazing things, currently filming Saved by the Bell. I'm so excited to watch the amazing things that you're going to do with your career. Again, thank you so much for watching for the viewers. And more interviews will be coming soon. Don't you guys worry about that. More interviews are coming soon from industry professionals. And until next time, thank you so much, everyone. Bye.